Now let's work on a picture. We're going to use the software program for that that's called GIMP, G-I-M-P. That's over here. It's this sort of animal looking thing like a wolf or a fox. I don't know what this animal is. But anyway, I'm going to click on that one time and it will open the program. But anyway, we're going to find a picture, open, and I'm going to go into my E drive, which is my external hard drive, and I'm going to go into pictures. I'm going to go all the way down to a folder that's called Will's, or it's called Will Ice Cream. Now, the first one is selected already, and it shows here, and it's a pretty bad picture because I cut off part of your head and part of your body, which means either you moved when I shot the picture, or I sneezed when I shot the picture, or I wasn't paying any attention whatsoever. Anyway, let's see about the second one. Oh, that's much better. Let's look at that. So I'm going to double click that to open it up in GIMP. And there you are. But now we can improve this picture, and I'm going to show you how to improve it. First of all, it's a little bit off center. So I'm going to get rid of the part that we don't need. And I'm going to do that by going over to the select tool. And I'm going to start about here and come down here. And now I've got it pretty much squared about where I want it. And I think I can do a little better. So I'm going to do Control Z. That's Z like in zebra. And get rid of that box and start over again. I'm going to go a little bit higher this time. So I don't cut so far, so close to your head. Okay, now I do that. Now I go to Image, and I'm going to click on Crop to Selection. And there you are. Now, let's make the tones a little bit better. So we're going to go into Colors, and we're going to look first at brightness and contrast. That's almost always where I go first, because most pictures, when you take them in the camera or you get them off the internet, need a little bit of help with either the brightness or the contrast. Let me show you what brightness does. If you put your cursor over the edge here and move it to the right, it makes it real bright or way too dark. So you want to try to find somewhere that's about the right amount of brightness. Let's try that. Now we're going to try contrast, and let me show you what contrast does. Contrast, if you go real high, makes the blacks, the dark things go black, and the light things go white. That's way too. If you go too far to the left, everything goes gray. That's not too cool. So what you want to do is find a place where you look just perfect, like Goldilocks, just right. So I would say that's pretty good. And maybe go a little bit less contrast. Let's see, just a little bit less, but right about there. I would say that's pretty good. Now, I'm going to adjust, maybe go a little bit darker. Oh, that looks just like you're alive and right in front of me. So I'm going to click OK. Now, I need to save it. So I'm going to do File, Save, and this will be saved as Ice Cream 2 XCF. And because it was named Ice Cream 2 already, and this changed it from a JPEG to XCF, which is a GIMP file name, and only GIMP can open pictures in this, but it's the way you save it for working on in the future. So that said, there was already one because I had worked on it before. And did I want to replace it? And yes, I do. I wanted to replace the file that was already there. Okay. Now, the problem is that doesn't do any good for showing that picture to anybody else, because if you send them the XCF file, they won't be able to open it unless they've got GIMP as their software program. So, as their photo program or image program. So what we're going to do is change it into a JPEG. You can change it into a JPEG or a PNG, PNG. I don't use PNGs, I just use JPEGs. So we're going to do a JPEG, and the way you do that is you go into File, and instead of doing Save or Save As, we're going to do Export. There are a lot of programs that when you try to convert them into something else to use, you have to use export rather than save, and this is one of them. So we're going to do export, and we're going to change the name so that we don't copy over the one that I had already done earlier. So we're going to call this one Ice Cream 2 BB. I'm adding BB to it, and I'm changing it from ping, which is what it brought up naturally, to JPEG, JPG. And because I had made this before, it's going to ask me again if I want to copy over the one that I had made before. So I'm putting export. It says it already has a file by that name. Do you want to replace it? Now you have to be very careful when you replace things, because if you replace it with the wrong thing, you lose the other one that you had. But I know this is okay, so I'm going to go replace. And then it asks you again, do you want to export it? And it asks for the quality, and it's got 90. I assume that's good quality. I don't know. So we'll go with that. And now that means that that picture is now saved as a JPEG, and you can do things with it. And I'll show you that because we're going to close this program down. We're going to go into the e-pictures. We're going to go into the folder that's Will Ice Cream, if I can find it. There it is, Will Ice Cream. Double click on that, open it up. There's Ice Cream 2BB. Double click on that to open it up and see it in there. And there it is. Now we could email that to people. You could do other things with it. Whatever you do with files, you can do with that one. And this very nice picture of a very handsome young man. So, and now I'll show you side by side the picture we started with and the one we ended up with. So I go into my folders and I look for e-pictures, Will Ice Cream, and I'm going to open up the one that we started with, which was Will, or was just Ice Cream 2. And if it comes up big like this, we're going to make it small by clicking on this little two squares side by side here, or one right in front of the other, and that makes it a smaller image. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm now going to go over to the one that we ended up with, and I'm going to open it up. And there they are side by side. And you can see this one looks a lot better. It's the Goldilocks look, perfect. This one's a little too far away. It's got extra chair or couch in the background, whatever this is in the background. And got too much space above your head. This is just the way it should be right there. So, and your tones are better in this one than they are in this one. That's it with doing files, with doing photographs or images for now. You could get images off the internet. Um, you can get images from people that send them to you, and then you put them in folders, bring them up in GIMP, and alter them, change them around, change their size, do all kinds of things with them, and you're all set. And of course, you can take images from your own camera, pictures that you take yourself, and put on your computer in the right folders.